It's all right that philosophers should argue with each other. I'm not going to quarrel with that either. But from my standpoint, the more I look at it, the more the extraordinary variety of human opinions and ways of life becomes comparable to a flower garden where these plants and trees and worms and birds and snails and slugs are playing all kinds of different games. Now, some of you may be unaccustomed to this idea because I see some new faces here. But it's my fundamental philosophy that the universe is essentially a game. But we use the word game or we use the word play in varying senses, and it may give the wrong impression because very often people assume that when such a word is used, it indicates something trivial. As we say, it's only in play or only a game. And then when you consider what an appalling amount of suffering the universe contains, one wants to feel that it's worthwhile. You see, either you must take the point of view that if there is this deplorable suffering, the universe is one hell of a mess, and the only response that you can make to it is to do battle. Or you may say, no, it isn't really a mess. Somehow all this suffering amounts to something in the end. It creates energies. It's a kind of a process like an oyster suffering to mature a pearl. And therefore, people who feel bothered about that can't quite emotionally contain the idea that it's all a game. Because then, if that were so, I would be the sport of some cosmic process, whether God or whatever, that plays with me as a child might torture an insect, a butterfly, by pulling off its wings or burning it with a magnifying glass of the sun, or something like that. Only, as I will develop it, we shall see that there is no system in which somebody tortures and somebody else is tortured. In my view of the world, which is semi-Buddhist, semi-Hindu, the creator and the creature are one, and all beings whatsoever are the masks and plays and ploys of the central self. There is just this self, which plays itself through all forms, through all of us, endlessly. So if you look upon the different forms of life, human, animal, insect, plant, or whatever,
Give you my life.
as comparable to mazurkas, waltzes, rumbas, charlestons, twists, whatever,
Dodge this.
or to poker, bridge, backgammon, chess, or, if you want to get more highbrow, to concerti, symphonies, partitas, fugues, and so on. You can see that everything is a way
Let's do this.
of dancing. And so this also applies to people's different religious attitudes.
Rest in peace.
There is the Baptist game, you see, the Roman Catholic game, the Bible game, the ritual game.
You shall.
These are all ways of doing a dance, but the religious ones have a way of trying to express some sort of fundamental attitude to everything that there is.
Brutal.
Now, I was thinking about this in New York recently. My wife and I attended a very marvelous ceremonial, which is held in Holy Week, and it's called Tenebrae. It's really very simple, but it's extraordinarily dramatic. It goes on for about 2 hours
I
and
will
consists
destroy
of the
you.
chanting of psalms interspersed with the most gorgeous anthems composed by
Dodge
historians.
this.
And during the chanting of these psalms, 15 candles on a triangular-shaped candlestick like this, standing up so, are slowly extinguished until only one is left. And this is supposed historically to represent the desertion of Christ by his disciples in the Garden of Gethsemane and at the crucifixion. Then that one candle is taken out behind the altar, and the place is totally dark. And the choir sings the psalm, Miserere. Have mercy upon me, O God, after thy great goodness, which is a penitential psalm, the 51st psalm. For behold, I was shapen in wickedness, and in sin hath my mother conceived. Then they make an enormous crash, and the candle is brought back, put on the stand, and everybody goes away. Well, this is a church. It's a high, way out Anglican church, where they do everything to ultimate perfection. Music, the ritual is just, there's nothing like it in the world. And so I began to think about what those people were really doing. What are they digging in this rightful repentance about the death, the crucifixion of Christ?